When the rest of Europe dimmed, Ireland began to glow, ink on skin, light on stone. Here, monks became memory keepers, scribes of the soul. In silence, they painted eternity, gospel and agam, law and lore, side by side. This was faith made visible, word turned wonder, truth turned tapestry. And though war raged elsewhere on this island, the light endured one letter at a time. These scribes were not hidden, they were sent, across the isles and into exile, carrying the word like fire cupped in palms. From Glendalough to Lindisfarne, from Iona to Burgundy, the Irish pen became the light of Europe. They taught, translated, tended the sick. They carved scripture into memory and beauty into breath. Their pages held more than saints. They held stars, beasts, knots of divinity, the great spiral that bound story to soul. And in every letter, the breath of a people, the steady pulse of Irish thought, inked into eternity. The manuscripts remain, but their power is not on the page. It lives in what the page awoke. From Latin psalms to Irish myth, they blended scripture with story, not erasing the old, but transfiguring it. We call them monks, but they were memory's architects, painters of spirit, teachers of time. Their ink has faded, but what it carried hasn't. A way of seeing, a way of being, that still glows between word and world. And when the day dims, when language falters, the light they lit still flickers quietly in us.
Upon a monk's illumined page, where gold and ink in dance engage, the word was drawn with sacred hand, a gospel born from sea and land, where time and prayer entwine with art, each beast and knot, each spiral bold, unfurls a tale the ancients told, of saints who walk through storm and flame, inscribe the sky with heaven's name, in pigment rich and brush-stroked heart, the vellum hums with breath long stilled, yet every curve with grace is filled. A lion crouched, an angel's wing, a serpent coils in silent ring. All speak the truths no tongue imparts, not bound by ink or age alone. It whispers through the Gaelic stone. In every line a prayer is cast, for those who read and those long past, still held within its glowing art. O Book of Kells, O boundless flame, you bear no scribe's forgotten name, yet through your leaves the light still flows, a sacred fire that softly grows, the soul of Ireland's quiet start.
in the stillness of stone cloisters, beneath the flickering glow of beeswax candles. Irish monks once practiced a quiet revolution, at a time when much of Europe was plunged into darkness. Besieged by war, collapse, and the fading echo of Rome, a different kind of power was taking shape on the westernmost fringe of the known world. In Ireland's monasteries, far from the chaos of cities and empires, ink and illumination became instruments of preservation, devotion, and vision. This is the story of how silence became legacy. The early medieval period in Ireland, often called the Age of Saints and Scholars, was unlike anything else unfolding in Europe. While other regions wrestled with the fall of imperial structures, Ireland, never part of the Roman Empire, became a sanctuary for learning. The monks did not just copy texts, they cultivated them. They preserved Christian doctrine, classical wisdom, and native myth. In their scriptoriums, where the scratching of quills was the only sound, they gave shape to an enduring memory, one line at a time. Every page was an act of devotion. In an age without printing presses, every word had to be inscribed by hand, every letter carefully considered. The scriptorium was both a workshop and a chapel. The monks saw their work not as mundane labor, but as sacred duty. To write the Gospels was to mirror the divine word. But these scribes did more than copy. They illuminated. They adorned the word with dazzling patterns, fantastical beasts, and interwoven knotwork, a visual language born from ancient Irish art and infused with Christian symbolism. The Book of Kells, perhaps the most famous of these manuscripts, is a testament to that fusion of spirit and style. Created around the 9th century, likely on the island of Iona, and later completed in Kells, it is more than scripture. It is a song in color, a sermon in symbols. Each initial is a universe, each margin a gallery. From Chi-Ro pages to intricate evangelist portraits, it speaks of a people who saw no boundary between belief and beauty. The sacred scribes didn't merely aim to preserve Christianity. They transformed it. They integrated their own pre-Christian motifs, spirals, triskele, and animal totems, into Christian frameworks. In doing so, they forged a spiritual bridge between the old world and the new faith. This wasn't conquest. It was transcendence. A monk could pen the life of Christ with the same reverence once given to the tales of Finn or Luff. Illumination, then, was not embellishment. It was revelation. But the story of the sacred scribes doesn't end with Ireland's borders. These monks were also missionaries, not of conquest, but of culture. They traveled to Britain, to the continent, to places like Lindisfarne, Jarrow, and beyond. Wherever they went, they brought more than the gospel. They carried books, ideas, and methods. In doing so, they lit a quiet fire across Europe. In places where libraries have been burned, Irish monks brought copies of classical texts. In lands where the Roman tongue had fallen silent, they reintroduced learning through Latin. They planted monasteries that became centers of education, hubs of intellectual life, and beacons of continuity in a fragmented world. Their mission was not political but philosophical, not imperial but eternal. These monks did not live easy lives. The labor of writing was physically taxing. Vellum had to be prepared from animal skin. Ink was made by hand, often from oak galls and iron salts. Mistakes had to be scraped away with a knife. Light was poor, cold was constant, yet they wrote, and wrote, and wrote, not for fame, not for wealth, but because they believed in what they were doing, that memory matters, that truth endures, that the word deserved to be beautiful. Their manuscripts were not commodities. They were treasures, often stored in special shrines, kissed in liturgy, and protected during raids. Some, like the Book of Armagh or the Book of Dio, survive to this day, not as dusty relics, but as living echoes of a time when faith was inscribed by hand and belief expressed through brushstrokes. The role of these texts in preserving Irish identity cannot be overstated. While Christian in content, they retain a distinctly Irish soul. The layouts, the ornamentation, even the rhythm of the script reflected the native aesthetic. And within the margins, quite literally, monks left notes, jokes, poems, and reflections. These marginalia humanize the scribes. One laments the cold, another jokes about a cat chasing a mouse, a third praises God for helping him finish a particularly hard passage. Their humanity, like their handwriting, remains vivid centuries later. What endures is not just the ink, but the insight. These monks understood something modernity often forgets, that knowledge is sacred and beauty has purpose, that to preserve something is not to freeze it, but to pass it on, that to write with soul is to defy time itself. In a world increasingly dominated by speed, distraction, and impermanence, the legacy of the sacred scribes offers a counterpoint. Their manuscripts ask us to slow down, to look closely, to feel the weight of words. They remind us that faith is not just preached, but practiced. In the patience of quill, the silence of the room, the gleam of gold leaf against calfskin. I am the scribe, one monk once wrote, who writes down the stories. Not a king, not a warrior, not a prophet, but a scribe. And yet, through ink and illumination, these quiet figures help preserve an entire civilization. Their fire still burns.